right, y'all. Welcome to Agree to Disagree with Iesha G. I am your host, Iesha G, and we have a special guest today. We're going to get right into the discussion, but before we get into the discussion, I want to give our guest a time to introduce herself and let us know who she is and all of that.
Well, hello, my name is Menda Jane, and I am a single mom of 3 kids who live in Houston, Texas.
Okay. Single mom of 3 kids. So we know you're a mommy. So what I want to do is I want to kind of start from the beginning, kind of go into childhood background, where you from, where your family's from, and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I grew up in Missouri City, South Side all my life. I actually met my ex-husband when I was 12 years old, and we had a life together. We got married when I was 21, and that was my life. From the age of 18, I had my daughter. I was a mom at 18, a wife at 21, and that was my identity up until almost 3 years ago.
Okay, so do you have any siblings, or were you raised from like by a married household, or how did do you have?
So I do have siblings on my mom's side of the family, but I didn't grow up with them. I grew up pretty much by myself, super close to my cousins. We live right next door to each other. I lived with my grandmother all my life. So it was kind of like a pretty quiet, calm, not the average, lifestyle. Most people had single moms, and then I have like this grandma who I'm living with. And then as I got older, I started to reconnect with my mom's side of the family and, those siblings and all of that.
So your grandmother raised you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you can share with us? Like what was not like what was it like with your grandmother, but what was the situation like? Why did your grandmother raise you to, be who you are?
Well, to sum it up in a nutshell, my mom was on drugs. Okay. So obviously that is a no-go situation. And then I did have my grandmother kind of like taking me in. It was different. Back when I was growing up, living with your grandma wasn't cool because she was considered old. I had a lot of like old values coming up. I was just different than the other kids simply because their moms was in their 20s and my mom was in her 50s and 60s. So you can imagine my style, my demeanor, my old spirit, all of that stem from that.
So I can definitely I can relate to that because I was adopted, but I was adopted by an older woman who was older, like you said. And it was like I would be in school, or she would drop me off and they'd be like, "Yo, grandma here." I'm like,
kids are hateful.
Embarrassing. Like, kids are cruel. I'm like, that is not my grandma, but okay. But yeah, so and I can also relate with you said your mom was on drugs and stuff, and my biological mother was on drugs as well. So which made me have to get raised by, someone else or whatever. So I can relate to that. So you stayed with grandmother until you were grown, or
I actually lived with her until I was 17. That's when I got pregnant for the first time. Okay. And that's when my life as an individual started. Before then, like I said, I met my boyfriend at the time at the age of 12. And because I was living with my grandmother, it was easier for me to be sneaky or to do all kind of stuff. She's at work, she's going to bed early because she's old and tired.
That part. I feel you. I was the same. I was real sneaky and everything. So, and I know how easy it was because of the bedtimes and the stuff that younger parents wasn't doing. Older parents, they, whatever. Okay, so tell me about, how did you and your husband meet? You said y'all was 12 years old. Like, take me from you guys meeting until, you said you got pregnant. What age did y'all get married? And kind of stop there.
So I was 12 and he was 13. We met because we literally lived in the same neighborhood. And one day he moved in And just like kids in the neighborhood all play together, it was kind of like a, hey, I'm Trey, hey, I'm Mimi, and he asked me to be his girlfriend. And that was that. He was my man.
At 12 and 13, y'all was together, honey.
We both lost our virginities around that time. I mean, that was my man. So yeah. We knew, like, we had already planned our future together. It's easy to do so when you live like, 5 minutes from somebody. Y'all, go to school in the same neighborhood. It's easy to stay in contact. Our complication started he was a year ahead of me. So when he was 18 and he went off to college, and he knew he didn't want to go to school in Houston. So that's when a little bit of disconnect started to happen. And we was like, yeah, you know what? We were kids and in love, but it's not gonna work. So we break up, but now I'm pregnant. And
what age is this again? I'm sorry. What age?
I'm 17 and he's 18. Okay. So this is 5 years of us that's my man. Okay. So yeah, we break up and then I get pregnant and I keep the pregnancy, not a secret, but me and my cousin actually experienced a pregnancy together. She was only a day due before me. So I didn't feel like I needed my baby daddy around because I had like my cousin, going through the pregnancy with me, my grandma. And then after I had the baby, I'm 18 at this point, and him and I rekindled and we moved in together. And life just happened so fast from then. We move in together at 18 and he's 19. And then he proposes when I'm 20. We get married 5 months later. It was just, girl, it happened like this. It happened so fast.
Okay, so I know that you said that y'all were young and y'all were young and when y'all met. So did that, I mean, y'all parents, I'm sure y'all parents had to like each other or like the other person. And when y'all did get together at a young age, y'all got pregnant or whatever, and then y'all got married. Did y'all have a lot of support like for the marriage, and how was the wedding? Was it a small wedding? How was it?
The wedding, by that time I had a baby. The wedding was like 100% anticipated. I think that's one of the reasons why we actually did get married so young, because everybody was like, get married, get married, get married. So it was a small wedding, but we had a ton of support. I mean, I didn't even buy my wedding dress. Like, everybody was super happy for us. And then immediately after we got married, the baby, where's the baby? Where's the baby? So it was overwhelming, especially me being 21, he's 22. We was already having internal issues that nobody knew about, because at that point we was like the staple family, like nobody else had been married in our families. Nobody else was still together in the house with the baby. So we was kind of like the model family, and deep down, like, we would go to bed, like, it was just we lived a completely different life than what we show, basically.
Okay, so let me ask this question. Did you guys have a baby after you guys got married, or how many kids do you guys have together?
No, the next baby didn't come until 7 years later.
Okay.
I was on birth control.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not there yet. So the baby I guess I'm trying to figure out, okay, so y'all had all the support y'all needed. Everybody was happy for y'all. They felt like y'all was this couple in y'all family. But behind closed doors, it wasn't like that. What I'm trying to understand is, how does someone go from being your best friend from 12 years old, y'all together all day, every day, y'all have baby, y'all family, that's in a black community, when you have your family support to marry somebody or to be with somebody, like, that's big, because a lot of people don't have that support. So I'm wondering what happened with y'all. From, like, do you feel like things changed, or can you kind of walk me through that? Like, how do y'all get being so, together and everybody's so happy for y'all? What you got right now?
And it's gonna sound cliche, but I'll kind of like go into details. When people say you grow apart, I don't think you grow apart. You just grow into, what happened with us, we grew into our adult selves. And when you meet at 12 and 13, the only thing you're basing a relationship off of is looks. That's it. You know, I don't need much from you. I'm a kid, you're a kid. It's convenient. You know, kids go off of what's in their face. We knew he was cute. I was cute. It is what it is. But when life starts to settle down and we both grow into this adult, and now you know how this person, their mindset, how they do finances. Are you really attracted to the adult person? Y'all sexual needs, your religion, more things start to play a part in the relationship. And that's when you're like, okay, some things don't really align. And most people are fortunate enough to meet in a mature stage to where they can have those conversations. But because we met so young, we were going off of love and we seeing each other every day. And then, so for us, here we are 21 and 22, and these tough conversations are being had like, what do we want to work at? What do we want to do with our life? Do we want to buy a house? And we realize, like, oh shit, if we had met in 2015 and not 2005, we wouldn't have even picked each other. You know, like it even physical, that's outside of physical looks. But even if you want to break it down more, even physical attraction wasn't even naturally what we would have picked had we not met as kids. You know what I mean? Like he want this and I'm the complete opposite. Sexual needs was different. Religion was different. How we wanted to parent our children was different. Everything was just like a no-go. And we decided we're young enough to break it off now. And we still have a chance at like finding who we want to be with rather than like that's when our friendship really kicked in. And was like, okay, look, I care about you enough. You are a man. You deserve to have a woman want to be all up on you every night, not somebody who cringe at the thought of having to, you know, sleep with her husband. So that's when we started marriage counseling, and that opened the door to us separating.
Okay, so I admire how open you are to talk about that because it's not something that a lot of us talk about, like, you know, within the Black community when it comes to, you know, getting a divorce or not being, you know, attracted to our person because you're told that that's your husband, that's your wife. You gotta, you know, you gotta stick with them regardless. And I'm sure with y'all having so much family support, I'm sure before, you know, everybody kind of understood, I'm sure they were all like, y'all work it out. Y'all can work it out. Y'all stay together and stuff. But on the inside, it's like, y'all, this is not really what we want.
And the part that really resonated with us the most, I think when it started to play a role in our children, because I'm so hands-on with my kids, and when you're with somebody who doesn't allow you to be yourself, I'm not gonna say who doesn't allow you. I was with somebody who I didn't want to be myself with. I didn't feel like I didn't want to. Everything was forced, you know, like, all right, we ain't had sex in 3 weeks, why not? You know, like I didn't, and vice versa. When you don't have a natural chemistry to somebody with somebody, it starts to trickle down to your kids, because now my kid want to go to the park, but mommy, you know, so frustrated in so many areas, I don't even have the energy to go to the park. You know what I mean? And then vice versa, he would not be able to show up for his kids. But then I see him hanging out with his friends and see who he really is. And I'm like, this nigga coming home on 10. Yeah. Happy as hell. And it's like, I care about you. I love you. I want you to experience that happiness every single day. You know, like, and then when I saw him be with somebody after me, I was like, well, goddamn. All right, and now I look at him and he just la 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 la. And I honestly don't take it personal because it was the same both ways. We just got into it way too early before we can make a logical decision on our life. That's all it was.
Well, I like that because I always tell my husband, I'm like, you know, of course you know, we love each other and stuff, but it's like, I tell him, I'm like, and I tell my homegirls too, and they think I'm crazy, but I really believe this. I feel like if there comes a time where me and my husband is not happy with each other, then it's like, I feel like it comes to a point where it does more harm than good. Because if we're together and we're not laughing, enjoying our stuff, we're not happy, we're frustrated, mad, upset, irritated and all of that. Like nothing good can come from that. So I always say, like, babe, if this is not what you want, then just let me know, because I'm like, the world is so big and we don't even have to be in, you don't have to look for somebody in your city, in your neighborhood. You can go in statewide, nationwide, countrywide. I mean, like, outside the country, international, like there's so many people in the world. You would definitely find your person, and that person can have the things that you want. But and I also don't believe in changing people. I feel like people should be who they want to be, and you should allow them to be that. And if you don't like that person, then maybe you should go find somebody else who is like what you want. Does that make sense?
I definitely agree. And one of the things that I think about now as a divorced mom, when I'm dating someone, I decide, like, if this person, who they are, the package that they come with, if this stays the same in 5 years, would I want to be with them 5 years from now? Not the potential, not who they can be, not if they get that promotion or if they lose weight or if this happened. Like, how they come to me, if this is how they remain, will I be okay with that? And if the answer is no, I'm not wasting my time. Like, I don't think about the whole idea of, oh, well, he can be a better man. He just needs to make more money. But what if he doesn't? Like, what if that more money never comes? Would you still be happy? And if you say yes, then girl, get your man. But if not, don't waste your time. You can't rely on people changing at all. Like, I don't.
That's facts, because you can't. I mean, there's no possible way to know if somebody's going to change or not. We see the potential in people all the time, but sometimes people don't see the potential in themselves. So if I see it in you and you don't see it in yourself, then what I feel like you can change, you'll never change it, because you don't believe that you can, or you don't want to change it, and you don't have to. I always say this. I say people should, be who they are. You should allow people to be who they are, be where they want to be, because if you don't, then they just gonna, they'll become who you want them to be. But how long is that gonna last?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I want you to be this person that I want you to be, and you might do it for a few months, maybe a year, but year 2, you're gonna be like, oh, hell no, I'm tired. I can't do this no more.
And that creates resentment too. Like, all that trying to force people to be for you. Child.
So I want to ask, so you say the relationship is better, and y'all are good friends, which is good. That's a success story, because sometimes divorces and separations can be very messy. It was messy. It was messy?
In the beginning, it was messy. Divorce is 100% messy.
Okay.
It definitely takes time. Just to give a little backstory, we separated amicably. Nobody cheated. We separated. But in the process of being separated, he got somebody else pregnant. Girl, even though I knew I didn't want him no more, that kind of like punched me in the throat, and it created a very messy environment. And that's where the drama kicked in. So we went through like 2 years of, if I didn't hate him before, I hated him now.
Oh, wow.
And vice versa. Because I think to me, I think I was more embarrassed. If I'm being honest, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed at the thought that my husband has a baby on the way. Even though, we talked to our therapist and she was like, Menda, y'all, but I just felt like, no. And even though I was messing with somebody else too. So it's like, just because he got her pregnant and you didn't, what makes him more wrong? But at the time, I was like, you got somebody pregnant while you were married? Girl, I swore up and down he had a baby on me.
But at that time, did you feel like you were emotionally disconnected, or when you guys were separated? I'm sure it was still love there, because it's somebody that y'all been knowing from 12 and 13 years old. Did you feel like, kind of in your mind, like, okay, he's doing his own thing, I'm doing my own thing. If he, this happened and it's nothing I can do about it, or you like, fuck that. I'm on your ass. Like, how did you feel?
If only you knew, I was on his ass.
And how'd you find out? Tell us that.
Girl, how did I find it? So men are, I'm not gonna say men. He is very sneaky. So we were both dating, not dating, but we were both talking to other people. And at the time, he would come down to Houston because he moved to a different city or College Station. He would come to Houston on weekends to spend time with the kids because we still wanted to, I don't know, we still wanted to be friends. And this one particular weekend, he didn't come. So I'm like, that's strange. Um, Girl, I did some crazy stuff. I ain't gonna lie. At the time, I'm his wife. So I this is embarrassing. Can I put a disclaimer out?
Go ahead, go ahead.
This was 3 years ago. Okay, I have grown. I am over that hurt, but 3 years passed. I'm like, this is strange. He's not answering my calls. So as his wife, I logged into his bank account because I know all his information. I reset the password, and I saw he was in San Antonio based on his spending history. And then I called our phone company because we were still on the same line, and I had his phone number switched to my daughter's phone. So all his calls was, I know it's crazy.
I wouldn't even think of that. I'm like, dang.
And then I guess he was in San Antonio wondering why his phone wasn't working. So the girl who he was with, of course, hey babe, call my phone for me. But when she called the phone, now I got the phone that's answering.
What?
I know. And I'm like, where is he at? And she's like, who is this? And that's how I found out he was dealing with that's how I found out he was dealing with her. When he came back to San Antonio, of course, because I moved all of his money out of his account to my account, switched his phone over. So now he's like, I want my money and my phone. And I'm like, tell me what's going on. And he's like, well, she's pregnant. And this is where I'm gonna be at. So
how long did it take for you to process that, get that in your head, and kind of be like, okay, this is what it is. I got to deal with it. This is where we at.
If I'm being honest, it took up until this past November. Okay. About 5 months ago. Now me and the girl, we was actually just texting, making plans this weekend. Now her and I like this. I'm in love with her son. But at the time, I was like, I don't want nothing to do with her. I don't want nothing to do with that baby. I don't want nothing. I intentionally, I don't want to say that, but I sabotaged their relationship. I just felt, I don't know, I felt like he betrayed me. I felt like a baby was just a lot, especially since we had only been separated for a month. So it just felt like a lot going on. And I cried more for the baby situation than I did for us not being together. I definitely did.
Dang. Okay, so now look, you in a better space now. You have accepted it. So where are you now? Are you dating, single mommy dating? How's that going?
It's fun. I will say that. This is the first time I've lived by myself.
Okay.
So it's a lot of fun. I feel like I have found, for a long time, if you would ask me like, hey, what do you like to do for fun? It would be, oh, I like taking my kids to the park. I had my mind wrapped around being this perfect mom and this perfect wife. And now I have time away from my kids. Like they go with their dad, and now I can just be a single person. And so I'm learning more about like the things that I actually like to do, things that I'm really into. Even the way I dress is different that I didn't even know, because I'm like, oh, I didn't know I would have worn that. But subconsciously, I wouldn't have worn it because I was a wife. Not that I'm dressing all provocatively, but it's just everything about me is completely flipped upside down. And dating has been fun, but I'm not looking to be serious with anything. So I'm having a good time.
Being single, I feel like being single is fun. I feel like single people should have a lot of fun because you're single. Why not? Like, enjoy yourself. This is your time, Okay, so one more question before we end it. If you could take a lesson that you learned along your journey from, the marriage, the divorce, the separation, whatever, and give that message to other mothers or women that may be dealing with something that you have dealt with along your journey, what would that message be?
I think my greatest lesson I learned was to make time for yourself. Outside of being a wife, outside of being a mom, it's so easy to get consumed in those roles because we play those roles every single day, but not every day we get to sit down and go out with our girlfriends. So I think even in being those roles, for me, what that looks like is putting my kids to bed at the same time every night, 8:30. So that way I have time to myself just to reflect on who I am, stay grounded, and not be a yes man to society. And so I think definitely make time for yourself. Don't be embarrassed or don't be too shy to say, hey, I need some time. I it's overwhelming. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I always felt like I had to be like this strong Black woman. Not all the time, not even majority of the time. Now where I'm at, I will ask somebody for help in a heartbeat. I don't mind saying that, hey, even if it's the smallest thing, ask for help because too much on one person it's not, especially on Black women. We already have a lot of pressure from society with how we look, how we parent our children. The men we deal with even influences other people on how they think about us. So ask for help
Okay.
any chance you get.
All righty. Well, with that being said, I appreciate you for being a guest on my show, Agree to Disagree with Iesha G. And we're gonna stop it here. But before we go, let the people know if you want to be followed, where to follow you: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever.
Well, I am on Instagram and YouTube. All of my platforms are the same, Menda Jane. I don't really post on Instagram that often, but I do have a YouTube dedicated to single moms, divorced moms. I kind of stick to other things, but single momhood, divorcehood, I have that covered.
All righty. So thank you again for being on our show, and we'll talk next episode.
Thank you for having me.